Uh, Good evening. I now call the Sherborn Board of Health meeting of March 18th, 2026 to order at 7:33 p.m. This is a virtual meeting, and board members by state regulations are required to announce their presence. We shall do so by alphabetical roll call.
Carol Beardsley present.
Steve Constantine present.
Julie Dreyfus present.
Diana Hook present.
Rebecca Honeywell present.
Excellent. First order is any items that were not reasonably anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance of the meeting. I am aware of one item that has come before us. Today we received a grievance from the applicant at 24 Greenwood for the bedrock disruption permit. They would like us to review their grievance this evening. To do so, we would need to amend the agenda to review it and then have a discussion on it. It is up to the board if we would like to amend the agenda to do so.
I would support amending the agenda.
Do you want to make a motion? Want me to make the motion and then we'll see if it is seconded and passes?
Sure, I move that we amend the agenda to include this grievance.
Can I make a friendly amendment for clarification? That we review the grievance sent by the applicant of 24 Greenwood. I just wanted. Okay, we have a motion, and do we have a second?
Second.
And I second the motion.
All right, we have 2 seconds. That's great. Vote by roll call.
Carol Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Diana Hook, aye.
Rebecca Honeywell, aye.
That's good. Do we have any other not reasonably anticipated hours within the last 48 hours that need to be taken up by the board this evening?
Not that I'm aware of.
I have not seen anything else myself. And I'm not hearing from Mark or Sarah, so I think that's everything this evening. All right, so on our agenda tonight.
Sorry, Julie. I do not have anything additional for the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. So this evening we have a scheduled public hearing at 8:10 to review the fee schedule. We have a number of chair's business items. We do not have, actually, can we pull up the agenda? Whoever is doing the screen share, it might help everyone to see it. Thank you. We do not have any administrator updates or agents business, and we do have other business to installer permits, temporary food permit, meeting minutes. Why don't I think I see the property owner of 24 Greenwood here, Mr. Yaboa, but I do not see his builder here, and I want to confirm, Mr. Yaboa, is Mr. Diaz planning to attend this evening? If so, we will wait to take your item.
I'm not sure if he is going to be joining because I think the email came in. He may not have seen it yet, but I have texted him.
Sure. Would you like us to wait to take your item until you've confirmed with him whether or not he's attending? Because we're not intending to start without him if he's coming.
Okay, yeah, maybe if there's something on the docket, we can tackle that first, and then I'll try to get
Sure.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure we would leave time for it because we do have a hearing at 8:10. Otherwise, we'd have to take it after our hearing. Just to let you know.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So why don't we? Maybe we should just kind of go more or less in order here. Why don't we start with the nomination of Inspector of Animals? I know we have a letter from the Department of Agricultural Resources. It's basically asking us that we need to nominate an inspector of animals, of which Kimberly Morrow is our inspector of animals. It specifically notes that even if we have already nominated her, that regardless of when the most recent appointment was made, it is only valid through April 30th of 2026. And so we will need to make a nomination to cover the year starting May 1st of this year through April 30th of next year. I don't know why that's the calendar, but apparently that's the calendar. So do I have a motion? What's that?
Just for the minutes, it's actually March 30th to April 1st. So you have to nominate by April 1st.
Okay, thank you. By April 1st. I was just reading the letter here. Okay, sounds good. So the nomination is for April 1st.
Yes.
We have to nominate by April 1st, but
Yes.
the nomination is for the period starting May 1st of this year through April 30th of 2027. I'm looking at the cover letter. All right, so do I have a motion to nominate Kimberly Morrow to be Inspector of Animals for the town of Sherborn, beginning May 1st, 2026, to extend through April 30th of 2027?
So moved.
Seconded.
Further discussion? Hearing none.
Carol Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Diana Hook, aye.
Becca Honeywell, aye.
Excellent.
Actually, I should have made the comment that she's very responsive to our needs in town.
Excellent. All right, I see now Mr. Diaz is on, and I don't want to have to keep you guys waiting until after our public hearing. If we can avoid that, but we do have to be done in 30 minutes. So I think hopefully we can do that. So is it okay if going to take the amended item, which is the grievance sent by Mr. Diaz on behalf of Mr. Yaboa, or in conjunction with Mr. Yaboa, for 24 Greenwood. Let me pull this up. I don't know if we have that to pull up. So we received an email today at 1:44 p.m. I don't know if we are able to pull it up, but how about I just,
pull it up if you would like me to?
do you want me just to read it? I know we're supposed to read things out loud for accessibility, right?
Yes, but yes.
Okay. I want to just make sure that the rest of the board can see the letter, or at least hear me as I read through the letter. So here's what I propose is that we read through the email that was sent. I then suggest that we review the timeline and events and make sure that we're all in agreement with the events and the timeline. And then the board can deliberate on, so within the grievance, there is a request for 2 actions. And so if we acknowledge the grievance and that there was any fault on behalf of our staff, that we would then consider whether or not we would want to take up either of the 2 recommended or the requested actions. If we determined that there was no fault on behalf of the staff, then we would not continue with the requested material. But I want to make sure we go through the facts, okay? All right. So I'm just gonna read through it. I don't think we have it up. So this is from Mr. Diaz today, again at 1:44, to Sarah and members of the Sherborn board. Oh, excellent. Do you guys want me? I'm supposed to read it. I'm writing to formally document a series of administrative inconsistencies regarding the project at 24 Greenwood Street and respectfully request an emergency addition to the agenda for this evening's meeting of March 18th, 2026. While we have operated in good faith to remain in full compliance with the cease and desist issued on February 18th, the project has suffered significant and avoidable financial losses due to conflicting instructions provided by board representatives. This is the timeline provided. Timeline of administrative errors. Template discrepancy. On February 19th, 2026, Ms. Lappin provided a PDF template for a butter notification. Within 24 hours, a second corrected template was sent, nullifying our initial efforts and causing immediate delays. The set date for the meeting stated on the PDF for March 4th meeting schedule is not edible and was completed by town officials. When the meeting got first postponed, the template should have been edited first by town official and sent with the second request with a new meeting date. Second, a butter list coordination. We were initially directed to the assessor's office, which remained unreachable via phone. After generating our own list to meet the February 25th deadline, we were then informed a formal 10-day request process and a $30 fee. We were informed of a formal 10-day request process and $30 fee, information that was not provided in the initial set of instructions. Notice period penalty. Having complied with the revised mailing requirements for the March 18th meeting, we are now being informed of further 4-week work suspension. This delay is a direct result of the time lost while following the incorrect instructions initially provided by the board staff. And then they go on to request relief. The homeowner and I are currently bearing the weight of these procedural errors. At this stage, the lack of clarity and shifting requirements have moved beyond process and have become a punitive financial burden on a future resident of the Sherborn community. We request the following at tonight, March 18th meeting as normal. Immediate agenda inclusion, an opportunity to present the completed mailing certifications and tracking numbers. And 2, a waiver of the notice period. In light of the documented administrative errors by the town, we ask the board to exercise its discretion to waive the remainder of the 4-week waiting period and lift the cease and desist effective immediately. And then they go on to say, we look forward to discussing this. Okay. I'll make sure everyone has a second to see that. Okay. So why don't we go through an account? So Mr. Diaz, I'm going to look to you. We're going to go through the timeline and we're going to make sure we're kind of all in agreement of our accounting of the facts. Okay. So
Sure.
we received the we received your email today at 1:44 p.m.
Yes.
Our records show that on February 18th that you received a cease and desist order sent by our agent. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
And included in that cease and desist order was a copy of the regulation, which
Yeah,
is
yes.
305-3.10, which is bedrock disruption under our local regulations. Okay, we're in agreement. The template for a butter notification, which is a letter, was provided to you on February 19th. It was accidentally provided to you on board letterhead. It should not have been provided on board letterhead. Do you agree with that initial date?
Yes.
And then the following day, our administrator sent a corrected notification letter, which simply removed the letterhead.
Yes.
Yep.
But I also wanna state something, if that's okay, up to this point. Is that okay? If
I
I
want to first
mention like conversation that I had with town officials, you know, from the moment that I received the cease and desist and until that second template. Do I have a chance to explain or tell the conversation that we had?
if I want to make sure we have an accurate account of the timeline and the facts. So
Okay.
if you have, so within,
But part of
so
the
we're up to,
facts, yeah, part of
yeah,
the
we're up
facts
to
are
February
phone
20th.
calls. Yeah,
Sure. So is there additional, I'm kind of trying to follow along on the timeline.
sure.
Do you have additional information or facts to add through that February 20th date? Something that I might have left off.
In terms of the email exchange and what happened with the templates, no, that's correct. Yes.
Okay, okay. You will absolutely have an opportunity to speak. I just want to make sure the rest of the board members have not been privy to the email exchange. And I think it's important that we all agree upon the sequence of events so that everyone is starting from the same place.
Sure.
Is the board not aware of email exchange?
It's because it was it's an administrative process that all applicants have with our staff. Like all board members cannot be
Between the
CC'd on
administrator
everything.
and the applicant.
Between the administrator and the applicant, yes. And for the cease and desist it included our agent. So my understanding is that after February 20th, and I'm going to need your help filling in the specific date, that you are not you sent an AI generated list. You sent that letter, that notification letter, to an AI generated list of abutters using certified mail, but I don't know the specific date you sent it. I know it's before February 24th.
Yes, it was on a Friday on, I think, let me tell you exact date. 1 second. It was February 20th on a Friday.
Okay.
So I received the second template, and when I got the second template, I confirmed with Sarah that the first one had already went sent out. So everything was sent out with the first template, not the second one.
And who was that sent to?
To the addresses that I generated within a quarter mile from the property.
Okay.
And on those letters, we did not have resident's name. We only had sent to the address to the whoever is residing on those addresses. It was not named to individual.
Okay.
And do you have copies of those letters and the dates that the postage showing when they were sent?
Yes, I sent everything to town official also, a copy of the letter and also because at that time we were requested to send certified like with the tracking and also a confirmation of receipt. So I sent everything to town official.
So you sent certified letters to no name at each
Yes, at each address to the residents. Yes.
How can you certify something that doesn't have an addressee?
Well, we sent to the address to the residing person that lived in the address. So I went to the mail post office, and that's they processed everything. So you have the board or the staff member on. You guys have that confirmation. You have all the receipts and everything.
I want to clarify that it was not a list that was generated by the assessor's office. It
Correct.
was a list that you had independently generated.
Yeah, and when I have the opportunity, I would like to explain why as well. And that's where I'm seeing like some of the mistakes, from this whole process.
Yeah. Well, let's make sure. I'm gonna put a pin. We'll come back to that. I agree.
Yeah.
That's there's some confusion in there. Then on February 24th, our staff first became aware from the assessor that a certified list of abutters, again, for this regulation, it's required within a quarter of a mile of the property line, had not been requested to the assessor's office. On that same day, February 24th, our staff promptly sent a letter to you, Mr. Diaz, alerting you to the fact that a certified list from the assessor must be used. And as a result, the review would be moved to March 18th rather than the previously scheduled March 4th. March 4th.
Correct.
Okay. A notification letter was sent to the assessor generated list by certified mail. And I don't know the exact day that you sent that out. I know it was the week of March 2nd.
I'm sorry. What was that? What was that? Can you repeat that?
Sure. So after you received the list of a butters from the
Mhm.
assessor, you then
Yes.
sent out your notification letter by certified mail. That was
Yes.
one of the days of March 2nd, and I don't know the specific day.
I can confirm the exact date. Hold on.
I believe
Do you have
it was
sig-
March 5th.
of the recipients? Because the post,
Yeah, March 5th. Yeah, March 5th.
Thank
the
you.
website of the U.S. Postal Service says that if it's certified mail, even if it's sent to an address without a name, that the postman has to get a signature. Do you have signatures of the recipients?
I have all the green receipts cards of someone who signed in a receipt of those letters.
Okay.
So they sent everything back to me on the mail. So I have all of them.
Okay. So that letter was sent by certified mail using the assessor's list on March 5th. On that, the notification letter that was sent on that date, the meeting date was not updated for the permit review to March 18th and still stated March 4th as the meeting date. The office became aware of the discrepancy when an abutter came into the Board of Health office on March 12th. I'm just letting everyone know when we became aware. But are we in agreement that the letter that was sent out by certified mail on the 5th had the meeting date of March 4th on it and not the meeting date of March 18th?
Yes.
Okay. On March 16th, so because we became aware the 12th, guys, was a Thursday, our administrator was back in the office on Monday, the 16th, which is when this matter was taken up by our staff. On March 16th, the staff notified by email the applicant, Mr. Diaz, that the date of the meeting on the letter sent on March 5th was incorrect and that a new letter would need to be sent with a meeting date of April 8th.
Yes, that was the last email. Also on that email, not on that email, an email after, that's when like a 4 week can't start working.
That's my next
Whatever.
point.
Yeah.
I'm breaking them down. Sounds great.
Yeah.
On March 17th, so the next day, which would have been yesterday, our staff member clarified that the notice for the bedrock disruption, the notice of the work being performed, that was provided to the abutters. I believe most of the abutters received that notice sent on March 5th. They received it on the Saturday, the Monday, the Tuesday when we looked at the tracking. That would be considered the start of the 4-week halt period that is required under the regulation. And so March 9th, so for the board, in case you don't have a calendar in front of you, if we're using March 9th as the butters are notified of the proposed disruption, 4 weeks from March 9th is April 6th. Are there additional facts in that timeline that I have left out, Mr. Diaz? It's certainly
We have
something.
facts that are concerning like calls that we had, and I had when I received the cease and desist from Mark Owen, we had a conversation there on site, which I asked him if we could schedule an emergency meeting for it because we had like equipment on site, or if we could like participate in the next meeting. He said he would talk to the board or some of the members on the board or something, which didn't that didn't happen. Like we actually were trying to rush like rush ourselves to get things ready for the next meeting, which was March 4th. And at that time, that's when the templates got sent. Before the templates got sent, I called the office and I asked Sarah about what should I write on the notice? How could I, what kind of information should I send out? She said not to send anything, that she would provide me with a template, which she did, which was great. We received the template. I rushed to get things done. I tried to call the assessor's office because she told me that I had to get the addresses from them. So I tried to do that. No one picked up the phone. I generated the list and I mailed. And I understand that that was all because I was trying to meet that deadline for 10 days grace period before the meeting. So we were trying to do all of that. When the letters got sent out, I've learned from Sarah, no, you need to get this from the assessor's office, and she graciously enough asked someone in the office to rush the order. But I was told that to get the list of addresses, there's this form that you had to apply to fill out. You need to pay a $30 fee. It's a process, and it could take up to 10 days. At that point, I said to her, well, if that's how the process is just to get the address list, so then I would never make to this meeting on March 4th. Because in order for me just to get the address, it could take me up to 10 days. Then get the letters ready, mail them out, and then wait another 10 days. We would never make to that meeting. So that was not told to me. I was not made aware of that or any of that process up until that point. So, okay, you need to send the letters to this address now, and which I did. I reprint the letters. I put the starting date of the bedrock disruption on the form, and I put the approximate finish date on that. But even so, then now that I'm thinking, I was thinking this morning, okay, well, if I put it like the starting date on those forms, which it would be, let me see, I don't know if I have the picture of that. 1 second, I should have that. If my starting day would be the 19th and then finish on the 27th, which is like, ideally we would want to start tomorrow and then we will finish like on 27th. That could not be, because there's also another 4 weeks that you couldn't resume any work until that needs to happen. So none of this stuff was told. Was mentioned to me, like what the process is. You need to do this. That's how you do it, and this and that. So that there was like so much miscommunication. I just like rushing things out because I wanted to keep the project going. I don't know if you guys are understanding what I'm saying, like in terms of the timeline and what happened between all of that, because it's just like, honestly, it's just a mess. I'm sorry to say it this way. I don't know how to put it in a different way, but it was just kind of like a mess, because I tried to get all that information from the source, which was you guys. I understand that you sent me a file with what bedrock disruption is, and that Mark sent me on that. I read that, but that didn't give me a guideline on what the process should be, and what's the waiting period between that process. 10 days, you send a letter, people receive, they can test their water or not, and then you have like 4 weeks before you start. I didn't see any of that, and no one told me anything about that. And I kept like looking for information. I kept calling and try to get those information out. And everything that I was asked to do, I did it. Go ahead, print this out. You gotta do this because you have another meeting coming. So I went out and did that. So that's basically where we're coming from. Like I said, we respect town officials, obviously respect the regulations and everything. We want to do everything by right, but we're just getting to a point of a limit, and that's basically what it is, and that's why we're trying to solve it here.
We can understand the frustration that you must be feeling. We can certainly understand that. What I'd like, if the sequence of events that we've laid out, if we're all in agreement of those facts and the information that we have kind of before us, we can pull up the regulation itself if we felt if that's necessary. But what I would like to point out to the board members is that the grievance is specifically an if then. So it is an if or since there is the assertion that it is the errors made by our administrative staff that created these delays. And then would be the two requests for the permit to be reviewed this evening as well as a waiver. And what I would suggest is we have to first adjudicate as a board if the actions of the staff directly caused these delays. All right, I see Rebecca's hand is up. So that is what I would like to deliberate as a board. And board members, if you have, since this is all coming at you right now in real time, and we just went through a lengthy sequence, if you have questions about dates and sequences, please let us know and we'll try to recount that. Rebecca, would you like to start in your deliberation of the question?
I had a couple questions for Mr. Diaz. The first is it a standard practice for you to review the regulations of a town before you start to initiate a project in a town?
Well, it's like our standard practice. I mean, we follow building code. Like we move from town to town. Like there's no, we generally get guided by town officials between projects that we go. Like we work around Massachusetts, and every town has their own bylaws, and they're different. Sometimes they're different than code requirements. So we need to get educated from town officials, and that's how normally it happens. Because like things like bedrock disruption, for example, a lot of towns don't have that. So I would not know that until someone have told us about that.
Right, but did you see the regulation that you were provided in advance?
No, I did not.
You did not. Were
No.
you aware that this town does not have public water supply?
I was aware that the street does not have, not the whole town, but the area where we're working, there's no public water supply. That I was aware.
Yeah, so, and that every residence for a certificate of occupancy has to have potable water as part of their ability. So
Absolutely.
do you know what the Board of Health is interested in?
Well, you want to make sure that the water is safe and protect the residents of the town, and including Mr. Yeboah as well. I understand that.
Yep, so this also, it's not only for the abutters, it's also
No,
for
I understand. I
your
understand where you're going. Yeah, no, I understand what you're going. But the question here is not that. It's not that we are disrespectful to any of that, or that we don't understand why we're doing all of this. We are the problem here has been a process. It's not the why, because the why I understand it, and I did everything I was asked to be done.
Did you happen to do research of this particular parcel, of the history of this parcel in the last decade?
No. Why would I do that?
Well, because it's relevant to the reason that there's a regulation that requires evaluating the groundwater prior to and notifying abutters, which giving people the ability to test their water before and afterward.
I understand that, and Mark told me about that the bedrock disruption. But like I said, I did not oppose to any of that.
Right. So the problem, I think the biggest problem here is, and it sounds like there might have been I think the administrator was attempting to help you, and maybe there was a delay from the forms. But the reality is the regulation requiring notification of abutters and is based on the limited ability for the Board of Health to protect the drinking water in that location. And so, unfortunately, it would have been, I believe, it would have been your responsibility to familiarize yourself with the regulations before you started disrupting the ledge, which is the reason that the board or our administrator tried to give you that information in order to be able to notify people. I don't know why my camera keeps turning off. To notify people according to the policy. And it's frustrating and disappointing, and there is a delay, but it's also our hands are tied, and that's why we have a regulation that we provided to you in advance. So you have a responsibility to also to the abutters of your project to work in a responsible manner, which means to protect the future homeowner as well as the abutters to a project.
I want to pause for 1 second because it's 8:10. We have a scheduled hearing at 8:10. This is what I propose to the board. Is right now, the only participants that I see on this Zoom meeting are for the issue that we're currently discussing. I would suggest to the board that we open the hearing and then continue it for 20-25 minutes after now, so that we can conclude this issue and be respectful of Mr. Yobo and Mr. Diaz's time. And since we're already in the middle of this. Board members, can I see a nod or a no? Okay, I'm seeing a
Yes.
universal nod that we're going to do that. Mr. Yoboa and Mr. Diaz, please bear with me when I open this hearing and continue it so that we meet our regulatory requirement.
Okay.
We will come back to you in just a second. The purpose of this meeting is to conduct a hearing about the proposed updates to the Board of Health permit fee schedule. We will open the hearing, and after the hearing, the board will deliberate on the proposed fee schedule and vote on whether or not to adopt the proposed changes. And so I would like to entertain a motion to open the hearing now at 8:11 p.m. Do I have a motion to open the hearing?
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. The hearing is now opened at 8:12 p.m. Do I have a motion to continue this public hearing to, how long should we take this? 25 minutes? Does that seem
Yeah,
fair?
let's do that because then we can
I'm
take
just
care
trying
of
to
other
figure out
business
what's
after we're finished.
right. I just want to make sure we have enough time. I'm happy to do 30 minutes if that seems safer. Why don't we do 30 minutes, because we can always
Okay.
take one or two other
Okay.
items and just be safe. So we will continue this hearing at let's just say 8:40 p.m. this evening. Okay. We've put that on the table. Let's now return to our
Shall we
issue.
vote on that or?
Oh,
or
yes, you're right. We should, I'm sorry. We should vote to continue. Do I have a motion to continue the hearing this evening at 8:40 p.m.?
So moved.
So moved.
Seconded.
Second.
Hearing no further discussion.
Darrell Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Diana Hook, aye.
Rebecca Honeywell, aye.
Thank you. When we get towards 8:40, if I don't seem to be paying attention, someone please keep me honest. Okay, let's go back to Mr. Diaz and Mr. Yoboa. Rebecca, I wasn't sure if you were done speaking. I'm going to make sure that I want to try to stay within scope of the question that we have before us, which was stated in the grievance presented, which is that the errors or the actions of our staff resulted directly in the delay. And so that is what we're adjudicating, is if that was the case. So Rebecca, I didn't mean to interrupt your questions or your deliberation. Did you have more to add?
I do. I mean, I think that if he's not familiar with the regulations, then that is, he needs to understand the regulations. They were provided to him, and I don't think that we should bypass regulations. Our interest is public health. The homeowner is interested in public health in the future. The abutters are interested in public health. Our job is to protect public health. And if he had done his homework, he would have followed the procedure properly, and he could have asked questions to the administrator. I'm sure that she would have answered them. It's too
The
bad.
problem, I'm sorry, but the problem
That's-
here is not the regulation, it's how the process was handled and within the time frame that we were asked. So if someone had told me, okay, Delano, this is the regulation, you got to work with this. This might take you like 3 to 4 weeks. It might be 6 weeks, 10 weeks. I don't care. If someone had told me it would take time, we would have to understand that, which we did. We understood that was. But I also understood that there was a possibility that we could keep the project going because there was a meeting coming up and that there was opportunity for us to participate on that meeting. So we rushed the template to get templates done and sent out and mailed and certified letters and everything because that was the information given by the town official. I didn't make up any of that timeline. So it's not about understanding a regulation. I do understand regulation as a CSL holder. There are so many regulations that the state has, and also town has them as well. And when we are made aware, we abide by them. So I did abide by the regulation. I abide by the stop work order. I don't have a single person working on the job site. I've been there just to clean up snow, like during the snowstorms, and keep access to the job site. But nothing else have happened. So the way you're phrasing, Rebecca, it's like if okay, you didn't read the regulations, so you were doing things that it sounds like we were doing something wrong, and we did not.
Saying that the Board of Health's regulation is intended to protect public
I
health.
understand, and that's what I'm saying. I understand that.
So I'm very sorry that this inconvenienced you and delayed your project, but I don't think that it justifies making changes that would further endanger the drinking water because the disruption of the ledge is dangerous to drinking water. That's been shown in developing countries with mining. We know that it's true, but we have private wells.
Did you read on a letter like what the method we are using to remove the ledge?
It doesn't matter because
it matters. Yeah, of course, obviously it matters because if you're removing a ledge by explosive, like drilling, and you're putting like using any explosives on it, obviously yes, it does matter a lot. I would be completely concerned, but that's not what we're doing. We're just doing like the same kind of procedure that we do when we're doing excavation to build any house around. I'm sure that every house that's built within that site use the same method that we're doing, which is just like splitting the rock and removing them, hammering them. Like if they're too big to be lifted, we hammer the piece of rock in smaller pieces so the machine can take that out. So it sounds like you don't even know like what kind of dangers like that can be done because we only dig also 7 feet below grade.
But hang on, I want to interject. I want to stay within scope of what our question is. The adjudication of the disruption in that permit, in the permit review, that will take place, sure. Right now, the question before us is specified in the grievance that was stated. Was the administrative process, specifically the errors that we did identify, did those create the delay in this process? That is the question that I want to keep us in scope here. I don't want to get into the bigger picture of bedrock disruption.
Yeah, no, to clarify, I'm saying that if he's requesting a variance because of his perceived financial and potential loss by the delay. And unfortunately, the regulations are not simply an inconvenience. They are designed to protect public health. And so we don't protect public health if we give a variance. So whether or not it's inconvenient or there's been a delay is independent of what the Board of Health's responsibility is. So there could be other, we could discuss other things, but it doesn't take away the problem that the Board of Health is trying to accomplish with the regulation. That's the point I was trying to make.
Okay. Again, the question that we have is, was there an administrative error that directly caused the delay? And I would say, to clarify that, versus is this delay period built into the regulation, might be the other way to look at it. And it was not clear at the outset, which is what I think I hear Mr. Diaz saying. Daryl?
Yeah, I had a lot of other comments, but for streamlining, I'll pick up on what you just said, is when this first started to come out, the difficulties, really the lack of immediate access to the assessor's list, and therefore using a supplemental list, but eventually getting to the assessor's list and getting things out. As Julie just said, it would have been 4 weeks no matter what from the date that people were notified, because the idea is that people need to have time to arrange for either learning how to sample their water themselves and finding a lab, or hire someone to come and do that. So we just wanted to make sure people had ample time for that. From what you've done, we are counting, even though the date was wrong, the abutters have been notified that this is the intended activity and actually has already started. So I think eventually the information did get to you, what to include in it, go back and do the assessor's list. And so things moved, I think, about as quickly as they could have anyway, given the constraints of that 4 weeks. So it all fit in together. So hopefully that's not going to be as torturous for you. But I think, and I could see where it would be hard, because there aren't bedrock regulations everywhere, but it is emerging as an issue because there have been things identified and found. And our goal is always to help people through the process. What differed a bit with this is if you had, since you, I believe, purchased the property with the plans in hand of approved septic system siting and other, conservation approval, planning board approval for zoning, all that was done and handed to you. And what this has revealed is that when people are not able to go through the process themselves and experience going out to find a place to put the septic and how much bedrock is there and large boulders, I can say that for decades, people have tried to figure out how to develop that property and never hit suitable pockets of soil. So eventually somebody found the suitable pockets of soil, but then you didn't have that information that a lot of the rest of the site was going to possibly have a lot of bedrock. So that's, what now we know. Somehow we have to find a way. Usually we find when people come in to apply for a septic system permitting and digging the holes to evaluate, we warn them at that time, if you hit bedrock, you're going to need to come back to us and then go through this process. We didn't have that opportunity with you because we didn't know you at the time when that work was being done. So now we have to find a better way to connect with people early on when they get a property that already had that work done. I don't know how we're going to do that exactly, but that to me feels like the missing piece. And unfortunately, you know, we couldn't interject that information much earlier than when you encounter the bedrock. So, yeah, and then we moved as quickly as we could to provide you with those pieces that you needed, the template and the guidance, that kind of thing. So, and you absolutely acted in good faith and moved as quickly as you could. Unfortunately, there was that little mismatch with it has to be the assessors, in part because the assessors, for example, some properties may be owned by somebody who lives in Florida. Well, the assessors has that information, and therefore it's not just going to a mailbox, it's going to the actual owner of the property. So that's part of the reason why the assessors list is needed. Sorry, we couldn't have anticipated, the things that could happen, but we did try to get them back on course as best we could when we found out. But I completely understand how it's frustrating, especially now that the snow has melted away. So it'd be a good time to be working again.
Right. Well, thank you so much for your understanding, because like it's exactly what you expressed here.
I want to make sure each board member gets an opportunity to weigh in. So Diana or Steve, I would welcome one of you going next if you want. And if you're not ready, I'm happy to go. But
Well, I do have a question because I think I was taking notes at the same time and maybe I should have just been listening. The certified list from the assessor, which has to be used for reasons that Daryl just explained, that went out March 5th. Okay, to
Yes.
the abutters. And
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And they received a notice that said when were the abutters expecting us to discuss that? So they would get their, okay. So they just found out earlier this month.
so the letter was sent March 5th. The meeting date for the review was still listed as March 4th.
Okay, that's okay.
Versus the meeting date that had been provided of March 18th. And there was a specific time of which I am afraid I don't recall.
So, which is why we don't have any abutters.
The abutters received, the majority of abutters received their notice on the 7th, 9th, and 10th, so a few days afterwards.
I was told, I only heard from one abutter who got the notice the day after the meeting date that was listed on the card.
Early.
Sent
They got the notice on the 5th and the meeting was listed as the 4th.
Sarah is able to look at the tracking, and then I know Mr. Diaz also has the tracking, so we can see the delivery confirmation of when it was received. I think the take home that I think Diana's pointing out is the assessors list, which has the property owners, and perhaps I don't know if it's relevant to pull up the regulation, but the regulation specifically says, and I'm looking at 305-3.10 subsection B. I'll just read it. No permit shall be granted except after the applicant has notified all owners of any property within a quarter mile, including properties outside the town of Sherborn, if applicable, by certified mail, return receipt requested at his or her own expense, at least 10 days before the Board of Health meeting at which the permit request will be on the agenda. The notification shall notice that such owners may conduct baseline water quality sampling and analysis for select metals and nitrate. Guidance for accepted content for the notification shall be available from the Board of Health. That's the template letter that we're referring to. The notification shall be received by the covered property owners at least 4 weeks prior to the commencement of bedrock disruption activity. Okay, Diana, didn't mean to cut you off. I was just
No,
trying to
that's
add flavor to
So Julie,
go ahead.
based on that, so based on the regulation, I should have never been given the March 18 meeting as a attempt to deliberate this or to get the approval for the permit.
So I think that there's two, I think something to parse out here, Mr. Diaz, is so there can be a what I'd call the halt period that happens in the regulation. It calls for a 4-week halt period from the time the abutters receive the notice of the proposed work to when the work will resume. Within that time, a permit can be reviewed, a permit can be issued on the condition that work not start until X, right? Within that time period. So within that time period, the permit could be issued. And then per the regulation, the board would have to note when that 4-week period was. The board could, through a variance or a waiver, consider reducing that time. Alternatively, the permit could be reviewed after that 4-week period, which I think is not an effective use of time. So in fact, having the permit review happen during that 4-week halt is probably the most effective use of time.
So if I may suggest something like because this seems to be like new in the town, right? Like this bedrock disruption permit and all of that seems to be new. From what I learned, it's probably like 1 or 2 permits like that have been, worked on. So I think like it would be important for the town, like for you guys to have like a process of how, like a guide, like an actual guide, how people should go through a process of this and what the expectation would be. So like once we know those things ahead of time, like certainly anyone that's going to be working there, they know that it's going to take another week for 10 days to get the list. They have to go to butters. So I understand. I mean, I didn't get that. From reading the regulation alone, it doesn't give me the process. Like if I read the regulation, it doesn't tell me what the process is. I don't even know how do I get the permit issued? Like what's the permitting process? Is that something I fill out the application and do we go back here? What's that process look like? Because I'm used to a building permit process. And basically what I do is I give people paperwork, I give them documentations, I give them license, insurances, every paperwork that they need in order to put everything together and issue a permit. And I go through the revision that they have. But this one is different for me because I don't have a process. So like before this meeting started on Monday, I called Sarah because I said, Sarah, what do I need to bring for this meeting? Is that something that I need to be presenting to them? Is that something that I need to do in order to get that permit? Because I'm still in the dark right now, like to be honest. So I think that the board, I don't know how this is done within town, like who comes up with those kind of things, but I think some sort of procedure or should be created, and made it as easy as possible so a 10-year-old can understand.
I think at least, I won't speak on behalf of the whole board. A guide to a step-by-step, here is the process, here is what to expect. That is what I am getting from this, which is it would be
Yes.
helpful if we could provide that
Yes,
in advance.
absolutely.
I absolutely would agree. That's one of my take homes in this conversation. Diana, did you want to continue? Did you have anything else?
No, I just wanted to get a better understanding of the timeline here because I'm also aware that from previous bedrock projects, disruption projects, that abutters will want to be present during the permit hearing.
permit review.
Permit review, yes. Hey,
And
and
Steve,
so staff, the start of 3/9, that was because as an estimated date of when abutters should have received the notice.
3/9.
Oh, that's what was the 319, Rebecca. I'm sorry, not Rebecca,
Okay,
Diana. So it was 319. So from my assumption was, okay, we would have this meeting today. You guys will give the approval or not, but I had to put a date there. When do you think you're gonna start resume working or do the bed removal? So I think it will be tomorrow, the 19th, and I should be done by the 27th. So that's what I put on the letter, because like I didn't know if from today it would be 10 more days forward or 15 days forward. So
okay. Thank you.
Daryl, before I go back to you, unless you have a direct connection to something, Diane. Okay, and then I want to make sure you go to Steve too. Go ahead.
It's
Direct
quick.
connection.
So the way the form reads is the earliest start date. So even if it was announced as tomorrow, that was the earliest possible start date.
right.
I think it's okay. That's okay.
I am cognizant of our time and realizing that 8:40 was ambitious. If we have to, we will continue that hearing a little further out because I want to make sure that that each board member has the opportunity to kind of weigh in here. Steve, I might interrupt you at 8:40.
Yeah, no, I can try to make this real quick. So a few things that I heard is that um, and again, this is a building project and not, I mean, not that I'm super familiar with it, but things don't always go as planned. And so the key thing that I heard is that you already had resources set up and ready to go. But I don't know how you could do that if you didn't have a permit in hand. And you were expecting to get a permit on the 18th, so I don't see how you would have scheduled anything, given that you don't have a permit. You don't know how that permit hearing is going to go either way. Correct? There's no guarantee
Yes.
there.
Yeah, no, but we have a reservation with first of all, we have part of the equipment we own ourselves, and then the rented equipment that we need for this is reserved for tomorrow. So that's
Well, I
basically
understand,
where
but
it is.
why would
Yeah.
you do that? Why would you do that if you don't know, you don't have a guarantee that you're going to have the permit in hand and you can start?
Why
That's
would
my
I reserve? Because if I don't reserve, then other contractors would take the machines away,
I
and
understand. But
then
again,
I can't start for another
I
whatever
understand.
time it is.
We,
So I
we
need
can
to
we can
be
I
ahead of
understand
time.
what you're trying to do. You're trying to
Yeah.
anticipate, yes, I'm going to get the permit. Yes, I'm going to
Yes.
have people on board, but that's
So,
not
like
necessarily the way it's going to
one of
work.
the tendencies of any builder, Steve, is being optimistic, right? So, if you think you're going to build something, you go out there, you find a way, you get it done, you build it, get it. You know, that's how it is. So, like,
Right. You can be
I was
optimistic,
optimistic.
but again, no
I'd be
guarantees.
no, absolutely, yeah, no guarantees, right? Yeah, but so I honestly didn't see or don't really see an issue not to grant the permit, to be honest. But that
Well,
I know, like I'm learning a lot of new stuff during this meeting. So
right. Absolutely.
yeah,
And that's one of the reasons why we have these meetings. It's one of the reasons why we have resources at the town hall that you can talk to with the Board of Health to make sure
right,
that all these things happen.
right.
The other thing I just wanted to, and again, going back to what Diana said, I guess, with the timeline. So it looks like letters went out on the 5th. Is that correct?
Yes,
So, and then what I heard is it's a 4-week period to get that back. So that would put us beyond the 18th. Is that correct?
that's correct. But I wasn't made aware that it would be beyond that because I was told on an email you need to get this template out if you want to participate on 318 meeting. That's what's written on the email. It's right there.
Right. So bottom line, if you get the approval to start this, okay, at the next meeting we have, how far out does this put you? date
Right
wise?
now, we're already 5 weeks out. So if it's next meeting 2 weeks from
I'm
now,
not, where'd you get the 5 weeks out from when you plan to start?
because we were stopped on the 26th, sorry, not the 26th, the 18th of February.
Mm.
So 18th of February, if you count, so that's 1, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks and a half, like 4 weeks, just about 4 weeks. And then the next meeting would be when? So we are about 4 weeks now, not 5.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So depending
Which,
when the next week, the next meeting is, it could be, I don't know, like 2 weeks from now. So
okay.
then we will be at 6 weeks delay.
Mm.
I mean, and again, I'm not sure how you counting the weeks, but I look at it as
Well,
a
I
2 week
count
delay.
it as
It's a 2 week delay.
not non-working day. So basically, I was working, I was stopped from working. So that's where my schedule stopped when Mark showed up. So that was February 18th. So from February 18th until now, it's been already 4 weeks.
But again,
Whatever
4 weeks
else it
ago, you
happens,
didn't have a permit, correct? How could
not
you
for the, yeah.
start without a permit?
No, I had a building permit for excavation. I have a building permit for the house, and that's how we discovered the ledge. And then we were stopped. So that's basically why we had equipment there in the first place.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I understand you got some frustration here, but
So,
things have to take a certain order to happen.
so
And
Steve,
I
what
don't
the
see, I don't
process
see
is?
how that happened.
All right, Steve, the process is I got the building permit. I can start the excavation. We started excavating for the house. We discovered the bed, like the ledge to be removed. We got stopped on the 18th. Equipment was already there on the clock, being paid for. Like
And
the
what
rented
were you
equipment,
waiting for at that point? Were you waiting for the
I,
board's approval?
I wasn't waiting. I was
Well, wait a
working. He
minute. You have to
stopped
wait
me.
for the board's approval, correct?
So I had to.
Can
I don't know if you're listening.
can I interject for 1 second? It is 8:40 and I'm gonna have the board move to continue our hearing further. So my apologies. I don't mean to make this clunky with this. Um, do I have a motion to further extend or continue our proposed fee schedule hearing to 9 p.m.?
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion.
Daryl Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Diana Hook, aye.
Rebecca Honeywell, aye.
Okay. My apologies for the interruption. I think I'm going to clarify a point. When my understanding is that when Mr. Diaz began construction to excavate for the foundation, they did not know that there was a substantial amount of ledge in this location. So on the plan, there was the test holes for the leaching field, and there was one deep hole that was where there was an approximate house location. There was a triangulation between those two deep holes to estimate high groundwater, which is required to be less than two or to be more than 2 feet below the foundation. That triangulation between those deep holes is a common practice. And so there was not, at the time of permitting, a deep hole to establish the presence of ledge at the time that this lot was permitted. And so when Mr. Diaz went out with his equipment to start the excavation after they had received, they had their permit for their well, for their septic, their building permit, transfer, they had all those other things. They then encountered the ledge. And then they started to remove that ledge. As soon as they were issued a cease and desist letter by our department, they complied, and they have complied throughout. And they have not resumed work because we have not granted them the permit to resume the work. Does that help with the timeline? And Mr. Diaz, if I got any portion of that wrong, please tell me.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay. So just to clarify, Steve, that how that happened, they didn't know what was going to be there. And then they started to take it out and then realized they had to stop, and they've stopped since.
And Julie, again, just I guess what I'm trying to get across is that's it's one of the costs of doing business. If you've got equipment in place and then something happens that you didn't expect, that's just part of the cost of doing business.
It's
Yeah, you're not wrong there, Stephen. But the thing is, we don't want any further delays. We're
I
trying
understand. You
to
want
we
to try to
try to
minimize it.
minimize it, right?
Exactly.
So that's why I rushed for the mail. That's why I rushed to get everything done the way we were supposed to. So that's basically what it
Oh,
is.
so if I may just also mention, I know it's the cost of doing business, Steve, but there's a family behind this as well, right? And we are hoping to move into our place as quickly as possible. So I just want to put that out there as well, that be considered.
Okay.
I want to make sure that we've gotten a little bit out of scope. I want to loop us around. So Daryl, I'm going to let you comment, and then I haven't had an opportunity to speak, and then I'm going to speak. And then hopefully we can wrap this up. So if we don't have a third continuance, go ahead, Daryl.
All right, I'll try and be quick. I'm going to ask this because we have the opportunity now to learn more, but when you start excavating for the foundation, does the building inspector or any other inspector come out to the site, and should we be letting them know to let us know if
So
they realize that you've hit somebody, you and others have hit bedrock, and maybe that would have sped things
yeah,
up?
yeah. So the normal procedure is you start the excavation and you're gonna find some boulders, lift it out, get it out of the way, move it and be done with that. And then like when you find something as big as it is in there now, what you can do, it would be excavating around and see if that is actually a boulder or a bed like or a big ledge, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So since like for us to excavate beyond the footprint of the house and what it looks like, this boulder is so big, it's ledge right there because it's connected to other parts of the other stones on the ground. We typically once the hole is done, that's when we call the building inspector to come in and look at it, the bottom of the hole.
Mhm.
So they don't really need to come in during the process of excavation. In this case we found ledge, and that's when Mark came in. So my lesson, my take home, like if I'm working in Sherborn for sure in like the next job, and if I see as I'm started excavating, I got my permit, I started excavating, I see a rock that I can't remove, I call Mark and say, Mark, come take a look at this, because that would be the procedure now, but at least for me, right? So because it was not marked on the plan before. I mean, we had some drawings showing like a big boulder in certain areas. There was lots of boulders exposed over, like on top of grade, like exposed, right? So we knew it was like a rocky place, but not as it is now.
Yeah, a lot of Sherborn is like that, and really the parcels of land that are left in town are left because they were hard to develop in the past. So
right.
I think this is the tip of the iceberg, only a rock. So the other thing is that we've had a few incidents in town that there seems to be a correlation between bedrock disruption and impacts on water. So that's part of the reason that shortening that 4-week window would be very difficult, because sentiments run high on this issue in town. So we're just trying to be cautious and respectful of the surrounding neighbors. So, okay, that's it.
I'm going to go back to what I had established as the question, which is, I think we have acknowledged that this process could absolutely have been laid out more clearly, and in sequence at the onset. I agree with that. We have also identified that there were a few things that our staff could have done differently that would have improved things. But when I look at the sequence of events and what has caused this delay, I would note that per the regulation, the assessor's list of certified abutters has to be accessed because that is the property owners and not necessarily the people who are residing. So a property owner does not necessarily reside at that location. And so accomplishing that list or receiving that list is important. It is certainly understandably frustrating that it would take an extended period, more than a day or two to get that list from the assessor. The assessor's office is not open on Fridays in Sherborn. We have fairly limited staffing on Friday, and in some cases, some departments aren't open at all on Fridays. But the limitation of getting that list from the assessor, and if my recollection is when you use the AI generated list, that was 20 some people, and the assessor's
Yeah.
list was 70 some people. So
67. But 67, but out of the 67 addresses that was there were like 6 of them that was duplicate. Yeah, 6
the
of
people who
yeah,
own multiple.
yeah.
So, and if the intention of the regulation is that every property owner within a quarter of a mile be notified, that the assessor's list is the important part there. And the AI generated list might have had some overlap, but it was not comprehensive. And the goal of the regulation is to comprehensively notify all property owners so they have the opportunity, if they so choose, to test their water. And so with that letter going out March 5th, being received just a few days after by, I believe, all but one or two, I think there's one letter still in transit going out to Colorado. But all of the property owners functionally have been notified that this disruption is happening. When we walk that timeline out, and we did acknowledge that's the start of the 4-week period, which takes us again to April 6th. If the permit review occurs on 2 days later on April 8th, then that I would call that a 2-day delay then from when that time period happened. But the fact that the letterhead was accidentally provided initially was not the cause of that delay. The fact that a second notified letter was asked to be sent with the updated hearing time was not the cause of the delay. It was built into the regulation to have this 4-week halt period so that abutters had the opportunity to be able to test their water. That is intentional within the regulation, not a de facto result of any actions of our staff. And finally, I would say I want to make sure we answer your question, Mr. Diaz, because I think it is highly relevant, even though it's slightly outside of the topic at hand here, is what do you have to do to achieve the permit? That is a great question. That should be clear, and I'm sorry if it hasn't been. The permit
Not in a single moment.
the intent of the regulation is a notification of abutters that activity is happening that has the potential to affect their drinking water. And it is simply to let them know that that is happening. Each property owner has their own private well. They are the people who are responsible for monitoring their well. They are responsible for doing whatever they need to do to take care of their water at their home. And so this is simply a tool for them to elect to test, elect not to test. It's just providing people information so individual property owners can proceed as they choose. And so
Okay.
in order to achieve the permit as it is laid out, is you have to notify all of the property owners within a quarter of a mile that there needs to be a 4-week period where work does not occur so property owners can test. And then you come back to our board in order to show that you have notified everyone. And that can happen during that 4-week period. that you get the permit issued, again, with a start date of whatever that 4-week is, or you could come to us after that 4-week period if somebody wanted to. I think when this regulation was written, it was written with the viewpoint that someone would anticipate that ledge was present and would seek this permit prior to work starting. You are an interesting case, and you're certainly making me think of ways in which this regulation should be improved, which is what happens if somebody doesn't know ledge is there and they encounter it? What happens then? And what we're seeing is that it certainly has a very a difficult effect for that property owner. And I do sympathize with you, Mr. Yaboa, and your family, that this is taking a long time. That was when the regulation was drafted. Again, it was before I was on the board, but I know it was not the intention to create hardship. It was just the intention to create sharing of information. So
that sounds really good, Judy. So I have a question in there, because in which instance, like Stephen mentioned, well, you didn't know that if you would get the permit on the 18th, and why would you schedule equipment for the 19th? So in what instance, like a permit could be denied then? Because it sounds so simple the way you're saying, which is simply getting the letters out, tell people that there is bad disruption on your property. You're gonna give them grace so they could test it, decide to test it or not, their own wells. So in which case, like a permit could be not granted or revoked.
you're asking in what case? So if
Like
proper,
on this kind of permit, like
Yeah.
on a bedrock. Yeah.
So if proper abutter notification had not been provided, so let's say you didn't use that assessor's list and you used
Right.
the AI generated list, then we could say these are the abutters. They were not all notified. This is not proper notification. In that case,
Right.
it could be denied. Or we could say come back after that's been done. And if that 4-week halt period had not been either that 4-week halt period had not been honored, right? Let's say, I'm not saying that you would do this, but if someone else then ignored the cease and desist letter and started work again, I don't think this board would be inclined to then grant them a permit, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, that all makes sense. Yeah, that all makes sense. I understand now.
So I do want to make clear that it's part of the process is, yes, giving abutters the information. To Daryl's point, there is also the opportunity for abutters to be able to come to that permit review and ask questions. Hopefully that will go smoothly. So at this time, Mr. Diaz, what I'm hearing from my board in terms of our decision, and I'm happy to make a motion if we feel like this requires a motion, but I don't see that the delay in this process was a result of any actions of our staff. I think this is the delay that is inherent both in the regulation itself and accessing the list from the assessor's office, the fact that you already had equipment on site, it is all, I guess, collateral. Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I would, my inclination, and perhaps this does require a vote, is that we continue with the permit review on the 8th, at which time, because the 4-week period will have lapsed, you would be able, if the permit is issued, as we've reviewed the requirements, then you would be able to commence work the following day, which would be the 9th of April. Any board members?
I think Daryl has a raised hand.
Yeah, Daryl, did I say something wrong? You have extra. Go ahead, Daryl.
No, nothing wrong. I just want to mention there was someone who had come in before for a permit and was contemplating using blasting agents. Right now, we only ban perchlorate, because that's a very common ban throughout Massachusetts because of the huge impact that had on water supplies in various areas. But we really discourage the use of blasting agents. So if you don't come with that intention, that will also help, because even if it's not perchlorate, the nitrogen compounds in blasting agents are quite, have a significant impact as well. And nitrogen is a serious concern for health and drinking water. So.
Yeah, part of into that consideration, and part of on the form, the letter that was sent out, I put in like what kind of method. There was a line that was asking what kind of method are you going to be using, and I said that we would be splitting, which means drilling the rock, and then you put like something like you hammer inside that hole, to split the parts of it. So that's basically what we do. So we just like minimize impact like around surrounding areas. So like there's no chemicals being used at all.
Course,
yes, that's what we want. Yes.
Approve your permit. So.
Yeah, I don't really see a need for anything beyond that, because like the amount that needs to be removed is not that big. I mean, it's really not. So.
Okay, good. Since you asked about the permitting decision, wanted to let you know that.
No, thank you.
Before we let you go, Mr. Diaz, Mr. Yeboah, I just want to make sure that you understand the decision of the board this evening to not review your permit and why we've made that conclusion. As unfortunate as I'm sure frustrating and unfortunate as it feels, I just want to make the goal tonight was to have a conversation about this and to work through the details. And you are still on our agenda for April 8th at whatever the time that was specified. I don't know that off the top of my head. But if you have any other things to add this evening, otherwise we're going to continue with our public hearing.
So we still have to mail the letters again for next hearing.
The intention is to make sure that abutters are aware of when the permit will be reviewed. So the most effective way to ensure that all property owners know when the permit is to be reviewed is through a certified letter. So certainly there are a number of property owners who have made inquiries or who have even looked at our agenda this evening, of which we have noted that review has been moved to April 8th. If they see that, they should know. But my inclination is that a certified letter for delivery confirmation does not have to be return receipt, in my opinion, is that goes out notifying abutters that the permit review will be taking place on April 8th at, I'm sorry, you have to reference the email to know the specific time. Board members, do you agree with that?
I can't remember. It's worth looking through the notes that
Yes.
Alan prepared for
Right. Still
about how that played out. I don't remember.
Who somebody has.
I don't remember if the Krista was just you to cover.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Any further questions before we let you go?
Yeah, I can't edit the PDF file like the way it was written there unless it's okay for me to cross that mark and put the new meeting date, because it's a PDF file sent to me. And like if I may say, like for 1 second, like I will do what you guys are asking. It's like as we have done ever since the beginning, this whole process. If I have to send the letters, I will send the letters out. But the only reason why I try to rush with the AI and I thought I made that clear was because I couldn't get to the abutters, and you recognize that. And then the second reason why I sent the second letter without even noticing or realizing that was March 4th date was because I mean, we had to send the letters. We had a like restrict deadline to participate on this meeting and hopefully obtain the permit. Had that form had just a line, like a blank line, like the rest of the information that I had to put in, it would definitely be obvious for me to put when the next meeting would be, because it was already like filled out. Like there was not a line, it was just part of the text that's giving the information, and therefore we missed that. So with that, we missed time. To me, the most precious thing is time. We have we don't have only I don't have only Mr. Yaboa as a customer, as a homeowner that I work for. I have other people that I need to give my attention to as well. With respect with everyone, I need to be aware of time. So that's basically what it is. But I will send the letter. I don't have a problem doing that. It is what it is.
Thank you for your suggestion, your recommendation. I think that would be helpful.
It is very constructive.
Yeah.
We, if it has not been sent, we realize that should be a fillable line too. If it has not been sent,
It is not.
we will, we
I could share
tomorrow.
the PDF if you want me to do it. I could share that. That's okay.
We're supposed to be returning to our public hearing, and I don't mean to be dismissive of your offer.
Okay.
Trying
All
to
right,
keep
no
the meeting
problem.
on track. Our administrator will send to you a template for that notification letter that has a fillable line for the date and time. And in her email, she will provide the April 8th and specific time to you to be able to fill in. And if it helps, we can add in language, or you can add in language about no, I think that the 4-week period is happening. It is fair to say that the work can commence on the 9th, that's the earliest start date that you intend. And again, if the permit is issued to you on the 8th, you would be able to do so.
Okay, that sounds good.
Thank you so much, Mr. Diaz and Mr. Yaboa, for your time this evening.
Yeah, thanks to the board for listening to our grievance and deliberating it.
All right, thank you
so much. Have a good evening.
Good evening.
All right, we're a little behind schedule. Let's return to our, I now would like to return to the public hearing for the proposed permit fee schedule. We have continued this hearing. It is being reopened here or taken back up at 9:06 p.m. I'm going to read an introduction for this hearing. The purpose of our hearing tonight is for the board to collect information and opinions about the proposed changes to the permit fee schedule. The board will invite public comment on the proposed fees, and once the hearing is closed, the board will deliberate and vote on the proposed changes. Some ground rules. I recognize there's no one present now, but I'm going to go through the process, friends. Some ground rules. Anyone present may speak. If you would like to speak, please raise your hand using the raise hand function in Zoom. When it's your turn to speak, the chair will acknowledge you. Please identify yourself by name, address, and any professional affiliation you may have that impacts your comments. Comments shall be kept to 5 minutes. Board members will listen to the testimony, but won't engage in dialogue with people who are making comments. We will deliberate, the board as we will deliberate after the hearing ends. So with that, if we have any public comments, and I don't see anyone present. Am I right? And there's no one in the waiting room, Sarah? Or Steve, or
No.
whoever can see the waiting room? Okay.
No.
So it appears that there are no public comments for this hearing. At this time, I would like it to entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Any
Seconded.
second? Perfect. All right. Hearing no further discussion, we shall vote. To close the hearing. Roll call.
Daryl Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Diana Hook, aye.
Rebecca Honeywell, aye.
Okay. This public hearing is now closed at 9:08 p.m. Board members, we can now deliberate. We've heard no public comment. And so do we want to, we've seen the final, but I think we should pull up the proposed fee schedule one more time for board members in case we have any further deliberation on this. Again, we saw this at our last meeting. Am I getting my dates right? At our last meeting earlier this month. It has been posted on our website. This hearing has been noticed in the Hometown Weekly for the last 2 weeks of the paper, and a link to the town website was listed there for anyone who is interested would be able to see the proposed fee changes. Board members, do we have any further deliberation on these proposed fee changes? Don't raise your hand, just go ahead and speak up.
I do just have a comment that the advisory committee, as we were presenting the final proposed budget, asked about the fee changes, and Sarah was able to provide some information about taking a prior year, how much of an increase there would have been in incoming revenues had these fees been in place. And they seemed pleased with the concept, and that we were having our hearing about this tonight.
And for that record, if we were to see the same permits that we saw in FY25 under this new fee schedule, we would see roughly a $20,000 increase in revenue. Is that right, Sarah?
When will these take effect?
That is going to be the next question. Excellent segue, Steve. The question then for the board is if we are ready to approve this fee change, is when will they go into effect? I had a conversation with Jean today, and I certainly would like to hear if Sarah weighs in. We noted that the kind of the easiest, cleanest way to do this would to be at the start of fiscal year 27, so July 1st of 2026 would be the easiest way to do it. Our assistant administrator noted that due to the library fair, we still have temporary food vendors applying, and it would be kind of a hardship if the fee schedule changed in the middle so that some people paid one fee and other vendors paid a different fee. That would be a confusion point. And so also probably for our tracking, it would be fairly easy if we just started it at fiscal year 27. Unless there is a reason, and there might be, for us to make these fees live before then. But so that's where I'm going to turn to you, Sarah. What are you thinking for the effective date for these fees? Is there any reason to not start it at the beginning of the fiscal year?
I don't know if per se there's a reason to not start it at the beginning of FY27 in July. I will say that historically, the board has amended the fees most recently in 2012 in April of that year, and they went into effect the next day. The last major update of the fee schedule that I could find was in 2007, and that was enacted at the end of the calendar year. So it was enacted actually in the middle of December of 2007. And then there were 2 amendments in April of 2009 and April of 2012. Both of those amendments did introduce new permit fees and increased permit fees, and both of those were enacted the day after they were implemented and voted on by the board. I'll also say that recently Dover did a fairly large overhaul of their permit fees, where they actually got rid of some of their permit fees, added some, increased some. did, I would say, the same caliber of changes in retrospect to what their permit fees were previously, this time last year in March of 25, and they also enacted them the day after. However, on the other hand, Needham does their fees on a fiscal year schedule. And so they vote, but they still vote on their fees in June and then enact them in July. So they usually will vote at the end of June and then put them into place in July. So the precedent set is to do it as soon as possible after voting. However, I recognize for our reporting purposes, it might be easier to enact them in July of the calendar year. However, I believe the argument of easier for us, I would say residents might not necessarily be thinking in fiscal years. So it might, because our permits are issued for calendar years, it might be a little complicated. It might not make as much sense. And the concern with the library fair is been resolved in the sense that I have discussed with the Friends of the Sherborn Library as well as with our food inspector on the caliber of inspections, and their fee has already been determined for them. And so that was already a decision that was made previously, and it is agreed upon as well. The conclusion that we came to today is if we are not to enact them in July, if the board wishes to do that sooner, we would wait until the end of soil testing season. So they would be enacted the end of April, so the first week of May. And then that would also allow us, because while there is the library fair season that we have, food truck season is over the summer. And we see an influx in food truck permits. And so if we were to enact those in the middle of July, we could have potentially, we will see vendors who are applying for temporary permits in June come back in September. And there will be less, I would say, momentum for it. However, I see merit to both options, so I guess it's completely up to the board. I don't see a bad option. The only bad option would be to do it tomorrow. I would say the earliest we could do it would be at the end of soil testing season, because we're consistently getting applications in. People are consistently having to apply for additional sites. We don't want to increase the fee in the middle of soil testing season.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sarah, how long will it take to update the website or any place where the old fees are currently now?
It doesn't take long. It takes a day.
Takes a day? Okay.
And some of these are in the online payment system, but not all, obviously.
Yep. So the food permit fees are in the online system, but those only take, it's an administrative task that takes about 15 minutes. I just have to log in and do it. And then the fee schedule to upload it to the website takes 30 seconds. And then on our installers and hauler permit applications, we do have the fee listed. And to change those would also take about a minute to edit the document, save it as a PDF, and then upload it to the website. So
My question was going to be, is there a reason to delay? And I think that your idea of waiting till the soil testing season is good, but I don't see what would be the benefit of waiting after that. So, and I was on the board at least for one of the changes where we just immediately implemented the change after we voted on it. So I don't really know why we would wait, except for the soil testing argument. So that I think there might be advantages to, after all your work, to just go ahead and implement the changes as soon as possible.
So May 1, is that what you're saying, Rebecca? May 1?
Yeah, whatever date you think is appropriate to mark the end of that testing season. So that would be fine.
So even if we were to do May 1, that would avoid the library fair conundrum, because those applications are due 30 days prior to the fair, and the fair is May 9th.
Mhm.
So
So no
that
problem. Okay.
Cleaner.
also avoids that as well.
Yeah.
Mark, do you have anything you want to add to this?
That was, yeah.
Yeah, I think the ideas being passed by seem reasonable. I would not wait till the beginning of the calendar year because what happens is you're sending out notices to the installers, to the food permittees, usually in November. So you would want to do it before the calendar year, I would say, changes. Doing it immediately may cause, as noted, the library fair. I think May 1st is reasonable. I think that would work fine. And we will still have soil test applications coming in, but for repairs of septic systems, not for new construction. So you would have been past that April 1st deadline as well. So May 1st seems very reasonable, and it doesn't affect the soil test season for new construction, and it doesn't affect the library fair. So I think May 1st seems like a reasonable date.
No, I concur because I'm thinking these fees were updated based on actual costs. And if it's actual costs and we're charging less, why wait until July 1st? Because then we're just going to have a larger deficit between what we should have been charging and what we're actually charging. So I would also support a May 1st start date.
Okay.
I say ditto to everything that came before my comment.
Yeah. I also I came in thinking fiscal year July 1, and I've been convinced that May 1 makes sense. So I would be comfortable enacting these starting May 1 of this year. Is there any board member who hasn't? Steve, did you chime in what date you believe you think would be good?
Yeah, I'm good with May 1. I thought,
Okay.
yeah, it's not going to take that long to change them. So, yeah.
All right, why don't we go ahead with this? Do I have a motion to enact the updated fee schedule as posted here on and on our website to be effective May 1st, 2026?
So moved.
Seconded.
Hearing no further discussion.
Carol Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Diana Hook, aye.
Rebecca Honeywell, aye.
All right, motion passes unanimously. Sarah and Jean and Mark, thank you for all of your work updating this fee schedule. It is long overdue, and we are very grateful for your time putting this all together.
Thanks for all your support for all this.
Yeah, we're excited to better capture the work that you guys do for the town. Okay, so we have our public hearing is done. I'm going to continue down the agenda because I'm determined to get this taken care of. We have, under chair's business, we have acknowledged that the review of the bedrock disruption permit for 24 Greenwood is to be moved to April 8th. The crux of that was discussed in our previously amended agenda item. For 39 Brush Hill, the variance, it says hearing also moved to April 8th. Mark or Sarah, do you just want to state to the board why that was moved?
I can explain that speaking to the engineer, and Sarah, you can discuss the hearing notice, but they sent out a hearing notice that said 9 a.m. in the morning, and also with the co-chairs that they realized they needed to move the request to a different night and correct their notification letter. Also, they had just today submitted the revised septic plan. There were several needs that had to be taken care of. I will be reviewing that next week. So even if the hearing was to occur tonight, they had a deficient plan. So this gives me the time to review the plan to make sure the revisions are correct. and they're okay with it. There's no rush on this, so they seem to be fine with moving the hearing date. And I'll send it over to Sarah if she wants to add anything.
No, it was they had the wrong time listed for a butter notification. And so we gave them a call and they should be resetting them. We did ask them to send us a copy of the updated notification letter, which we have yet to receive, but I'm sure it's coming.
Perhaps a friendly pressing them to make sure that they got the date right before they send it, or a friendly reminder at least. Okay, excellent. So we will hear that on April 8th. Our Charles River Public Health District Community Health Assessment update. I think that's Daryl. Are you giving that?
Yeah, and I'll be given the hour. I'm going to be really quick. So there was an approximate 27, 28 page survey assessment form, and that is developed somewhat off of kind of national things, but also they're looking to have this go out to the 4 member communities so that they can kind of compare and contrast and evaluate where we are as a group. It was a lot of multiple choice. For example, what are key health concerns? Cancer, diabetes, various other things, and you could just pick the top 3 or something. So, but it does look like it's going to take some time for people to go through that unless they're streamlining it. And we discussed things that would be appropriate for Sherborn, such as there were questions oriented towards whether people had easy access in or close to their neighborhood for, say, food, grocery stores, that kind of thing, which speaks to sometimes like food deserts in cities where like a large, less expensive grocery store isn't available. So I said I thought anyone moving to Sherborn was well aware of the need to drive elsewhere, but also who probably has the resources to drive elsewhere, but that we have local farms, which was not something even on the list. So there will be a little Sherborn customization in there. But that's about it. They're still working on it, and eventually we'll be asked to somehow get residents to respond to that survey.
I was surprised. I read through it and I was surprised that there were no questions at all about drinking water quality because obviously it's a big issue in Sherborn with private wells, but every town listed on that list has private wells as well. And with the potential contamination coming from Framingham, I know that it's been an issue of concern for more than just our town. So I was wondering if you happened to mention that at the meeting.
Yes.
That was my main suggestion that I think is an omission that might be included in the final draft if whoever is involved with that process. That'd be valuable.
Yep. I'll see what they were going to make the amendments. So the consulting firm that's pulling that together and soliciting input.
And some of the other like public health questions, I thought that could also be a little bit improved. I have a couple ideas, but I don't need to say it now. It might be valuable to learn who's involved with that.
Why don't you write down your suggestions in an email and we could get that over to them.
Sure. Are you the representative for Sherborn? Are there other opportunities to participate in that conversation? Is it a public?
Yes, you can. It's a public meeting.
Yeah. So
you can always join. Just look on our website and you'll see when the meetings
yeah,
are.
I forget because I think I had a conflict the last one, but see what I can put together.
But for this, if you've already gone through it, write things down because this was, I mean, it'll probably be discussed in those meetings, but for the detailed discussions, that was being done with town by town. So you've read it, you have comments, I would write them down. Be the most streamlined way to get that in. And easier for the consultant to digest and include.
Yeah. Any further discussion on the health assessment? Not seeing anything else.
Not yet.
Not yet. We got to see what it's going to be. Okay. Excellent. Down to other business. We have a disposal works installer permit. It's a renewal for Michael G. Bates of Bates Site Development Corporation of Hudson. Mark, any concerns here?
Michael was in our office 2 weeks ago, and he was trying to start a job at 107 Nason Hill Road. That's the new house they're building next to 109 Nason Hill Road. And he said because the project got delayed a little bit, they're reapplying to put the septic system in this spring or summer. So, and he was aware of the pre-construction requirements, and I would recommend the approval of his permit, installer's permit.
May I make a comment?
Yeah.
We have not received his updated insurance. We have it from last year. We just need his updated one. So I would just approve it conditional to receipt of the updated insurance information.
Thank you, Sarah. That's a very good point.
That's excellent. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the disposal works installer permit for Bates Site Development Corporation of Hudson, conditional to receipt of an updated insurance?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Seconded.
Second.
Hearing no further discussion.
Carol Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Diana Hook, aye.
Rebecca Honeywell, aye.
All right, motion passes. Next we have a temporary food permit for Bird's Nest Italian Street Food during business as Braised. I believe they still need their pre-operational inspection. Is that right, Sarah? And what is the
Yes.
date of operation for this?
They are for the library fair, so May 9th.
Okay. So May 9th for the library fair.
But they are not included in the library's fee. They paid separately.
Okay. We don't have to specify the date in the approval of the temporary permit, or we do? No.
No,
usually-
it's issued on the permit.
Yeah, okay. So do I have a motion to approve the temporary food permit for Braised, conditional to a pre-operational inspection?
So moved.
Seconded.
I'm going to make an amendment to my own motion, just to add that this is for the library fair on May 9th. I'm going to add that in anyways. Hearing no further discussion.
Carol Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Diana Hook, aye.
Rebecca Honeywell, aye.
Motion passes. My apologies if you hear that banging, it is my dog. All right, next is meeting minutes. We have minutes from February 11th that we have yet to approve. We also have a set of draft minutes that was distributed on March 4th. I have to admit, I have not reviewed the minutes for March 4th without passing today.
Julie, we also have to look at the January 21st meeting minutes, and those have to be voted on today for open meeting.
Thank you. I was not quite sure if we had done that yet. All right, so let's go in order. Let's start with the January 21st minutes. I think you had previously distributed those.
Mhm.
All edits
And
that
they
I've
got
gotten.
held up mostly because of me. There was something I was concerned about in there, but it was, Sarah pointed out that those were the words used in the meeting. And as I went back and listened to that part of the meeting again. It was all about the gallonage being appropriate on the plan. But what DEP directs us to do is to talk about the bedrooms specified in the design plan. Now, both of those things were on, but we got into, because Mark might not have been involved in that particular discussion because of the location, we somehow got on using the terms gallonage in that, and I regret having stuck with that in my comment. So basically, I've asked that it be taken out because it was fine for that individual discussion and the mode that we were in. But the point was to reinforce the concept for all properties, and by not saying bedroom count, that was off. So I'd rather have it out. It didn't add anything. The other information was there for the individual property. If that makes any sense at all. But because I looked at it for a long time.
Thank you for describing your substantive edit and the reasoning behind it. So functionally, you're just striking out a comment
My
that
comment.
was not critical to the discussion. Okay.
Yep.
So do I have a motion to approve the January 21st, 2026 meeting minutes with submitted edits?
So moved.
So moved.
Seconded.
Hearing no further discussion.
Darrell Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Diana Hook, aye.
Rebecca Honeywell, aye. Excuse me.
All right, motion passes. Next we have, thank you for reminding me of that, Sarah. Next we have the February 11th, 2026 meeting minutes. I believe, Sarah,
I've received edits from 2 board members and I've incorporated both of them. They were not substantive in nature.
Okay. That's my recollection of my edits, is there was a few grammatical. So do I have a motion to approve the February 11th, 2026 meeting minutes with submitted edits?
So moved.
Seconded.
Hearing no further discussion.
Darrell Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Diana Hook, aye.
I'm going to abstain because I have not been able to review them due to a family emergency.
Okay. Motion passes. And last, we have the meeting minutes from our last meeting, March 4th, 2026. I'm going to admit that I did not get a chance to review these minutes, but if a majority of board members have, then we should go ahead and vote. Do we have a majority of board members
Too
who are ready
much
to?
budget season stuff. I did not look at them yet.
Okay.
I didn't see him out in the folder, but
I think Sarah
They
sent.
were put in the folder and they were attached to the email, but I didn't send the email or the folder until Monday. I usually send them today,
okay.
but I was out of the office.
Okay.
Okay.
I haven't reviewed them.
I haven't gotten any edits or comments back from board members, so I'm comfortable postponing that review.
Yeah. Diana and Rebecca, I don't know if you are.
I didn't attend and I haven't viewed the video yet.
Okay.
And I haven't reviewed due to the same family emergency.
All right. So we will review those minutes at our April 8th meeting. I'm just making a note to myself because I'm trying to keep track of what we've done. Excellent. And that brings us to the agenda item for our April 8th meeting. Reminder to board members that we have one meeting in April. We do that to accommodate the school vacation calendar. And to kind of space out our meetings, we are not meeting the first Wednesday in April. We're actually meeting the second Wednesday in April. Just noting that change. So on our agenda for April 8th, I believe we have a variance hearing. It will be 39 Brush Hill, right?
Yep.
we will have the bedrock disruption permit review for 24 Greenwood.
Yep.
I may be adding, I have a building application that has been requested to place a historic commission display room at the library, and there's been discussion with the building commissioner to determine if there's enough design flow in the existing septic system for the library. So that may be on the agenda for the April meeting.
Okay. Other items that I'm missing? Anybody?
That meeting will be after the advisory hearing, so I assume we'll probably give an update on the budget then as well.
Oh, excellent. Yes. So yeah, I agree. So I think it would be helpful if Sarah, if you could update us on what's voted on at that hearing.
Of course. Also, we will likely we have a shelter walkthrough exercise with Middle Folk MRC on the 1st. So I will give a report on that as well.
Okay, the shelter walkthrough. Okay. Anything else? Okay.
Oh, sorry. I thought I was unmuted again. We'll have another update from CNL Frosty.
Yes, thank you. I knew that there was something. We will get our next update. And Sarah, will, in case they are not proactive, will you reach out to them?
Yeah,
a week
they
prior?
actually stopped by the other day to keep me in the loop. So,
And they did submit a building application, which I approved. So for the bathroom location that was noted, I will need to reach out to the plumbing inspector in respect to the ejector pump. But the building permit was approved. We just have to connect with the plumbing inspector, but hopefully we'll get an update on that for the next meeting. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent.
Was there a timeline, kind of an update expected for the Maple Street property, like 155?
That's right.
not that I know of.
We had required that soil testing be completed by the end of March.
Yeah, they did apply for soil testing with the snow cover. I am not for sure if I believe we have not yet received conservation. I can look into that. But I have a feeling because the snow has now melted, we're going to see a lot of commission agents approvals. And I will inquire with her when I see the commission agent, the Conservation Commission agent.
So Daryl, are you requesting an update on the status of that? Because per Title V, they were supposed to have a replacement in by the end of May of this year. Is that correct? And so
You're muted.
and so we had set up a series of benchmarks for them, right? So I think
That is correct.
Is a status, at least a status update.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Okay, that sounds good. Let's hopefully they'll have Concom review by then, but all right, let's add that to the agenda. Okay.
Asking them for an update will help remind them of this schedule.
Yep. I have to do the same for
Recognizing that.
Go ahead, Daryl. I'm sorry.
No, it's
110, 112 North Main. I'm going to be giving them a reminder as well because they're in the same situation as 55 Maple Street.
All right. If that needs to come back to the board, Mark, obviously,
I will let you know.
yeah, have that added to the agenda. Okay, so it sounds like we should all be having some coffee on April 8th, about 5 o'clock. All right, note to self. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
Hearing no further discussion.
Daryl Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Diana Hook, aye.
Rebecca Honeywell, aye.
Meeting is adjourned at 9:43 p.m.
Good night,
Have a nice
everyone.
evening,
Good
everyone.
night.
Thank
Thanks,
you. Have a good
guys.
night.